Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am pleased to be joined by the incredible co-directors of Shadow of the Mandalorian, Kiefer Jenkins, or we'll get to your other name in a second, and Timothy Ryan Lahr. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. And what a nice logo you have.
Yeah, it was awesome. I totally did not expect that opening. I was like, oh, all right.
You know, if nothing else, the production value peaks right there at the beginning, and then it's all downhill from there. So we'll see how that works.
You hook everybody into the beginning, and then
flashy colors. It's like one of those youngster things. Just try to catch us with the colors flying by. So guys, what's going on? How has the past 5 months been for filmmakers like yourselves?
Kiefer, do you want to start? Because you got a whole different journey since the beginning of this year.
I had a kid before the lockdown, and so I've been raising him from home, working from home in IT. So it's been pretty okay for me, fortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Tim?
I've just been writing. It's been the weirdest that this has been such a rough thing all around for the world, but I feel like for my own personal reasons, it's been really I haven't written any pandemic scripts or anything right now. I figure a lot of the world's doing that already for me. But no, it's been a huge opportunity for me to actually sit down and do some writing and scripts and stories and things I've been meaning to work on for a while. So I found the silver lining during this whole thing. So.
I'm glad that you held to your original statement. I think a couple months ago when you and I talked, you said, I'm not going to write any Corona scripts or anything. So it sounds like you stuck with that.
Hold on to it.
Yeah, there we go. So guys, we are here for Shadow of the Mandalorian, and we need to first start, I guess, with leading up to Shadow of the Mandalorian. We first got Trial of the Mandalorian back in 2016. What led you guys to start with this series?
I bought a lightsaber and I built a Mandalorian costume, and then we had a phone and we're like, let's make a movie.
I remember. Yeah, I remember when Kiefer actually asked me to help out with Trials, and I don't even know what I was doing at the time, but I just remember being like, I can't do it, man. I'm really busy.
You were doing everything.
I was doing a lot. I remember, but yeah. So I remember you actually hitting me up in the first time working on Trials, and then you brought me on for Shadow. But yeah,
that's awesome. How long was the original production for Trials?
6 months.
Oh,
we
wow,
went up
really?
to Vasquez Rocks and once a month, every weekend, once a weekend, and we would just figure out the choreography. And then we realized maybe we should have some dialogue or something, or a story structure. Let's figure that out while we're out there. And we just did it. And when I learned how to use After Effects and Final Cut Pro and all that stuff. And then we premiered it at AMC in Burbank. We rented a theater. We started a GoFundMe for it, and we had that screening, and it was a fun time. And
that's incredible.
I love seeing movies in theaters. That's the only way to see a movie, in my opinion. And having that, I knew that I wanted that for Shadow, and eventually we'll do another one. But yeah, it was a fun.
I was there for the screening. I was there for the screening.
Us with the screening.
I helped with the pop-up.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was there for that.
I worked at an ad agency, and they printed me a in theater standee, like a full-size one. And they dropped it off at the AMC for me, and we had to assemble it before the screening, and we had it there and stuff. But it was just a fun time.
Which, as someone who worked at a movie theater when I was a kid, I can tell you that those are pain in the asses.
Yeah,
they are not fun,
yeah.
Especially when you get the Disney ones that are
we designed those.
Pieces. What, you designed those?
The ad agency I worked at designs 70% of them for Disney.
Wonderful. So you were. You were the terror of my 16, 17-year-old life. That works. Full circle here. Here we are, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, we're here for Shadow of the Mandalorian. So what we'll do is we will show this short now. You guys want to stay on screen, and we'll see your reactions?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
How long ago was this? 2 years now? 2 years since we filmed this?
Yep. 2017.
Kiefer said that he watches it every day. So
yep. That's why we're at 4,000 views now.
All right, here we go. We're gonna pop it up and we will get it going. All right, and off we go.
Lord Vader, we've entered the null system and our forces have cleared the planet.
Clear the chamber. He is but a shadow of his former self, broken and weak.
Yes. The arrogance of the Jedi has again helped us.
What do you intend for him now?
Release him. That will be big enough for our rebels.
This was his lightsaber during the Clone Wars. Shall we return it to him?
Yes. This will fuel his rage. Feeling connected to the saber, but not knowing of its significance. Well done, Lord Vader.
Please report to outpost control. Commander Ray, please report to outpost control.
Jedi scum.
Mandalorians.
She's a former Mandalorian governess. She's looking for someone. You look like hell, by the way. Still can't sleep?
No.
Same dream?
And it's happening more vividly, too.
You have had that dream more and more recently. You think it has something to do with your magical Jedi powers trying to tell you something?
No, this is something different in the Force. Something unavoidable.
Commander, how nice of you to join us today.
Well, I had to make sure somebody was doing some work today.
Sorry to interrupt the bickering, but we've got a transmission from Yavin.
Well, General, put it through.
Yes. Why don't you flick that switch in front of you? Remember, you're a guest on my base, so don't forget who's in charge here. Mind your manners.
You got it, boss.
General Sirens, Commander Ray, thank you again both for your support you provided to the Alliance. We've already seen numerous advancements. Now, on to more pressing matters. We received word from Fulcrum about a distress signal originating from the old Mandalorian mining facility in the Null system. Commander, our records indicate that you fought a battle there.
Yes, sir, I was there. We were tracking a small group of Mandalorian terrorists from Death Watch, but it was a separatist trap and we lost many men. It was unlike anything we had previously encountered, and so I had no choice. I had to pull my forces out.
Well, we'd like you to travel there and determine if our new Mandalorian allies can reclaim the abandoned facility and establish a joint base of operations for our future efforts. Commander Niet will join you on this mission. Report back to me with your findings, and may the Force be with you.
Well, you have your orders.
About the quantum mark, prepare for flight.
Ship's almost ready. There's a lot of Mandalorian activity recently.
They're being debriefed on the Null objective. Let's go.
Wasn't that guy you fought a Mandalorian?
He was a friend before the Clone Wars, born on Mandalore and identified as Force sensitive. Knowing he wouldn't be safe, his family turned him over to train as a Jedi. He became one of the youngest commanding Jedi early in the Clone War. The Council assigned him a small task force sent to defend a royal Mandalorian family on Concord Dawn. Nobody knows exactly what happened there, but he was one of the few survivors to return. When he returned to Coruscant, he turned over his lightsaber and left the Jedi Order. Later, I learned he had returned to Concord Dawn to train with the Mandalorians there. He tried to combine his Jedi teachings with his Mandalorian heritage. Unfortunately, it led him to the dark side.
The ship is ready, if you'll follow me.
We have to make sure this area is safe. The Mandalorians are planning to put an outpost here.
Could we stop looking for dead bodies?
Get back to the ship.
Why?
Just do it. Maybe next time, kid.
Linked your destinies, the Force has, and so tied your fates to Lahr. Guided by the Force, your path forward will be. Help turn the tide, you must, and a path post-mortem we will create. A warrior of Mandalore and the Force. Who you are, this is, and accept it, you must. By the right of the Council, by the will of the Force, I dub thee Jedi Knights of the Republic.
We've got work to do.
That I just wrote down notes for. And the first of which is going to be, who did the Yoda voice?
A friend of mine from the Rebel Legion, his name's Sean Crosby. He's done other stuff, voice acting, and he volunteered to. I asked him if he could do the voice, and he was all up for it.
That's awesome. So I guess what really surprised me about this back when Tim, I don't remember the first time that you and I talked a while ago, but when you shared Shadow of the Mandalorian with me, you think about fan films and fanfic and all that, and you don't know what you're going to get. But in here, you have excellent storytelling. You have great graphics, the music. The Yoda ship. Let's talk about that. And the animation. That animation in the middle is really great too. So talk about like how that all came about.
Tim always told me that it's better to show and not tell, or show instead of telling, instead of just telling exposition. It's better to show it. And I thought I was really inspired by the Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows, the animated scene where they talk about the Deathly Hallows. Instead of just telling you, they show you. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if anybody that hadn't seen Trials of the Mandalorian, we could have some exposition that was more interesting for them than just telling it. You could see it, and then it's a flashback. It's his perception of what happened. So what better form to do that than in animation? Yeah. Our friend Christine McLear drew those images. I animated them, and then we put effects in there to make them look like it was a flashback.
I'll tell you too that you mentioned Harry Potter, and that was my first thought as soon as I saw it. It reminded me of that scene where you're getting the history of the Deathly Hallows, and that's pretty incredible. Some talented people. Yeah,
we pulled in a lot of resources.
That's
and just friends that we wanted to collaborate with. That were like, hey, you're talented. Can we pay you and give you some money, and you could do this for us?
Hey, you do things.
Yeah.
Great things. They do great things. They really do.
We love supporting our friends that are also trying to build a career in what they're passionate about. So that's our goal. Like, that's ultimately, for me, that's what Jetstreak is about. It's about creating environments where we can promote our friends and their skills in a way that benefits both us and them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's great. It definitely comes together in an incredible product. You were saying before that you taught yourself those effects or those animation, not the animation, the digital effects and all.
Yeah, I learned to use After Effects for Trials, and then I had to learn to do a lot of other things for Shadow that I didn't know how to do the ship models. I was lucky enough to find a person that designed the models for me. I just had to go and animate them and get them to do what I wanted them to do.
Yeah, that's very cool. And Tim, how did you become involved in all this?
Oh boy, I remember it was so long ago. I remember, I think it started with Trials when Kiefer first asked me to help out to do that. I saw the Trials of the Mandalorian and everything, and then he. How long after did you message me asking to?
It must have been a month.
Yeah, because I remember you
writing something.
Yeah, because you messaged me and you were like, "Hey, do you mind taking a look at the script?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll take a look at it." And so I took a look at it and everything, and then I think we met up for drinks at the Idle Hour bar, which is an amazing bar.
So I actually took a break for a year because we were getting married. We had our Star Wars wedding, and we had to push it back for a year.
I did the video for that wedding.
Yeah, and that's where we started talking more about working together.
Yeah,
at the wedding.
Yeah, I think we actually might have talked a little bit about it. Don't tell Anna.
Well, Anna's in here right now. She's
there she is
already. So.
No, she's great. We love her. So he and I originally came on. I was only looking to sort of direct. I wasn't really looking to do much else. I was kind of looking for my next project, and Kiefer was like, he wanted to direct, and I think it was kind of like his baby, and I was all supportive for it, and I was like, cool, go ahead, direct it. I don't think it's for me, but I'll give you notes on the script. I'll kind of like help you do the project and everything. And so I kind of came on as that. Then I started working camera, and then we were on set one day, and I was working the camera, and then I was also kind of like giving notes to the actors, like, hey, kind of, you're thinking about this sort of thing. And then I think Kiefer came out to me afterwards. We were filming at the Azkaz, And I think that's when he first approached me and asked if I wanted to co-direct with him, and I was just like, yeah, let's do it. So I was already kind of invested at that point because I had some creative ideas in my head about certain things, and so that's what's so great about working with Kiefer is, you know, even it's like I've worked with a lot of different writers before, and even myself, I'm a writer, but Kiefer was just so open to ideas and collaboration, and I think that's what made working with him so good and so easy to do. Was just he was just so open with everything, and I would just kind of give him notes. I'd be like, hey, let's kind of do this, and he was just like, sure, like never no pushback or anything. I was like, okay, let's do it. So
there was no bad ideas.
It was nice and refreshing for a change to work with somebody, and so I think that's what makes Kiefer and I's collaboration so good. Is we just bounce ideas off each other, and yeah, and it's nice working with someone who's like so open to different changes and stuff, even if they're the writer. Because I think we changed up the final scene.
Yeah, we were in the middle of shooting, and we're like, you know what? This seems a little repetitive. I don't think we need this scene. Let's restructure it, and then. Hey, symbolism. Let's add a little touch of symbolism in there. And
we had coffee at Starbucks, and we talked it out after one day of shooting, and we were just like, let's do this. Let's kind of tweak this ending, and so that's kind of the ending we got with Inside the Force.
And again, like with all that stuff, more than anything, I'm open to collaborating because I just want to make the best thing that we can make.
Sure.
If I'm not trying to creatively control everything because. Ultimately, I just want to make something that's good and people can relate to on a personal level, more than just ooh, cool, it's Star Wars.
I think that's what transcends a lot of good projects is it hits a wider audience, and it's that subliminal messaging that kind of goes underneath what you're seeing and what is the story really about. And sometimes it's not just like, oh, it's like good cop, bad cop. Sometimes it's like usually a little deeper, like, you know, like this one was about accepting both sides. Jedi and Mandalorian, which is something Kiefer taught me because he's such a huge Star Wars fan. I didn't know that Jedi and Mandalorian hated each other, and I was like, well, we have a Jedi Mandalorian. He's trying to battle between these two sides, and so it's just coming to terms with yourself as a person.
And Kiefer's like, sit down, let me walk through all this with you.
And the symbolism ultimately comes from like I'm half Hispanic, I'm half Guatemalan and half white. It's the same premise. It's something that relatable. You're a multicultural person. You're going to relate to that because you have two sides of your heritage.
Which is incredibly impressive that you were able to take a short film like that and infuse a deeper meaning into it. I really was impressed at the beginning, and I told you that was my third time watching it today, so I'm definitely impressed to this day. Was this, Kiefer, your first foray, I guess, trials and then your first foray into filmmaking?
I had a film school when I was in high school, but I wanted to do it, but I was like kind of like convinced to do otherwise because I was really technically savvy, and that was a more stable career path for me to follow. Sure. I've always had like the art, creativity aspect of things from a technical standpoint, also like knowing what I can technically do myself, just because of my tech knowledge. But yeah, Trials was my first real thing. But I debate that say that Shadow was my first real thing because we had to schedule shoots, we had to schedule studio time, we had to schedule budget for equipment, figure out food and stuff like that. So it was like an actual production where Trials was. Sure. We'd go up, we'd spend a few hours, and I'd cut that footage together.
Very cool. So when you're diving into something like this and, you're trying to explore the world of Star Wars, essentially, that obviously has been established and is, this larger than life thing, how do you even go about making a fan film like this in such a large universe?
I think I just looked at the time, there wasn't so much that they'd explored in that gap between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy. So finding little areas where like, oh, that'd be interesting. They mentioned this in a movie. What if we were at that base on Dantooine or what if there was this, what were they doing? What did this mean for those people? And sort of like, and then as they fill in those gaps, Disney and Lucasfilm, like, okay, well, does this still work? Does that still work? And then trying to make it so that it can fit if it needed to, but making it more of its own. That's why I have Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine in there, more as like it's in Star Wars, but the rest of it I tried to keep as its own thing, putting little things that the hardcore fans are going to know, but still, trying to focus on the original aspect of the story.
That's awesome. I think that in terms of the effects and what you taught yourself from Trials to Shadows, you definitely could teach some other filmmakers out there how to tackle their effects, and even some big budget films.
YouTube University, man. I learned everything on YouTube.
There you go. That's perfect, right? So I guess in thinking about more of, you mentioned that you put in Darth Vader, you had Emperor Palpatine. I saw a droid in there. Where did that droid come from?
It was like a free add-on thing, and I was like, well, let me put this in there. So like they would have droids on the base, wouldn't they?
So I was, I don't know if you saw, I was laughing pretty hard earlier. Yeah. It wasn't. So Kiefer has added in something for the definitive cut that I had apparently gone over my head, and his cat made a cameo in that scene when he wakes up, and I noticed it for the first time.
Every scene I wake up in, my cat is there as a sort of homage, because every time I wake up, he's there asking for food.
I started laughing because I recognized the cat too. I'm sitting there watching him, and all of a sudden I'm like, is that Marley?
I saw you losing it a little bit.
I had to make it really subtle and had to change the colors on him so he could blend in a little bit of the background.
It was so subtle. It was.
You're like the fourth person that noticed it, Tim.
Gosh.
What has the response been from the Star Wars fandom? Typically a quiet crowd that don't really speak out much about Star Wars themselves in the films, but kidding. I think when I first talked with Tim, he had mentioned that you have a pretty, you're in the fandom. So What's been the response?
People really like it. Technically, there's things that they don't like. The Mandalorian Jedi thing is the biggest thing, and I'll take that to their grave. I love the idea of two opposing cultures and forces. It's just interesting to me. Why not put it together? Why not? And I know I'm not the only one that thought this, because in the official canon, there has been a Mandalorian Jedi. It's official. So I know I'm not the only one that thinks that's interesting.
And again, go ahead. I was going to say, and again, that's, I think, what makes it kind of go to the next level, is because you can take that diversity and that inner struggle. We all struggle with who we are as a person. So I think that idea is what really struck a chord with me when Kiefer was talking to me about the project. But sorry, Kiefer, didn't mean to cut you off.
People just like that. It's the fandom that I've talked to. They like that there's deep story. There's Easter eggs that are subtle, that they're not really Easter eggs. They're just part of the world building element of Star Wars, that it's easy to figure out places to put them in. Just, how much do you put it in there? How much do you really, you have to pull yourself back a little bit. But so far,
that's a steady balance, right?
Yeah, there's things that I had to take out because I keep wanting to just throw stuff in there and keep going. But there's I had to learn restraint. So.
Does tackling the story of a part Jedi, part Mandalorian make you want to explore any other aspects of the galaxy, so to speak? Is there anything else that you would want to tackle that maybe you didn't want to, or you didn't think about at the beginning of Trials?
I hadn't, and then the more I keep thinking about the things that we had to think about for Shadow, deeper meanings of story. There's other things that I want to work on, that I am working on with. I'm working on a Star Wars Rebels story about Dune, the character Kanan Jarrus, voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., and he becomes blind at some point in the show, and I thought that's fascinating. He's a disabled person in the Star Wars universe, still living his life, and what struggles did he have to go through they're kind of glossed over. It's not that big of a struggle. So I'm exploring those struggles in another project that I'm working on.
That's awesome. Tim, it sounds like that's what drew you to the project more than anything else, was kind of the deeper meaning of, in Mandalorian and Shadow of the Mandalorian, the split between the Jedi and the Mandalorian. But even I'm going to assume you're interested in that type of story too, exploring someone that has a disability within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super. I think Kiefer's kind of taken over the Doom aspect on his own. I think he's learned a lot working together with me, and so he was like, I want to take this one. So I was like, all right, cool, go ahead, you got this one, because he knows more about. And I think again, Kiefer just knows so much about the history of Star Wars, and I think working with each other, like I came in, I'd seen the original. I see Star Wars, but I wasn't in depth as much as he is and he was. And so it really kind of inspired me, where we both just kind of peppered in the Star Wars fantasy world, and then me just bringing in some different story elements to it, and just kind of adding in. I think, again, it just kind of made for a beautiful creation that is Shadow of the Mandalorian.
And collaboration too, because we both sat down. I'd cut a rough cut of it, and then Tim would come over to my little house, and we would tighten it up. We would see, like, where do we need to linger on a little longer, so that the pacing is there and the emotional beats are there.
Yeah, because you had mentioned you wanted to shoot it very much like Kurosawa. We first kind of talked, and so I had to go back and obviously watch some Kurosawa to kind of get some more references, but also to watch Star Wars and just kind of capture the essence that they were kind of going for. And it was a lot of like the hip shots, like Westerns, and the saber fights and everything. And I think with the action sequences, it kind of, I think that's a good time for filmmakers to usually kind of like let up on the shots. Like, obviously let the actors have their choreography and everything. But when you're doing independently, you don't have like a big stunt team and all that kind of stuff. We kind of just did it like on the fly. Like, I let them, I think we would do step by step, like stop. And I'd come over here and I'd get on the shoulder, like, okay, let's do it again. And then they would do it again. And it would stop. And then we'd go to like somewhere else.
And everything in there, like, we weren't, the choreography was more meant to be like an actual sword fight. Like, I'm swinging hard. Like, if I
smacked himself in the head a few times.
I hit my lightsaber so hard, it bounced off the other guy's lightsaber and whacked me in the face, and I had a black eye for 2 weeks. But we're doing that so that it feels more real. It feels raw. It feels like there's, you could feel the hits with the strikes.
Right.
And Tim likened it to The Shining. Every time, Jack Nicholson was swinging that axe, you felt the impact on from a standpoint of the viewer. So we were very much trying to convey things like that.
Yeah, I think you definitely did. Going back to the Western aspect, I think the location definitely communicated that right away in those scenes. You kind of get that feel right away. And even from you waking up, I mean, your cat aside, you definitely get that feeling. I didn't catch the cat.
We were
maybe on my next viewing.
Yeah, he's in there twice.
I couldn't see him the second time. I saw him the first time.
Were you?
But yeah, we walked around Griffith Park, and the Baron that looked dead. That looked like, why would somebody be there? And we got lucky. There was a fire the week before, and that's what it looked like the week after.
The only positives that come out of a fire in California.
We took advantage. We found the silver lining in that one. Yes.
Oh, geez. So, looking at kind of where you've been with this, did Jetstreak Inc. come out of sort of these two projects, or was that something that was in existence prior?
I started the idea of Jetstreak Inc. when I was in high school. It was more, I was really into technology, and so it was more like, I'm going to make software. It's going to be called Jetstreak Inc. And it wasn't Inc. with a K up until we started Shadow of the Mandalorian, when I thought like ink to create, more than incorporated. So we changed it to the K, and the idea of it is to collaborate with others, to push what we can do and push our skill set to create new things and develop, partnerships that are beneficial to both of us, that we learn something, you learn something, and we're pushing each other forward. A very communal working aspect of it.
It's very cool. I mean, hey, it's the best companies blossom into different things, right? So you started as a tech company, now you're a film production studio.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future holds?
And that was the thing. Like, part of it was like shooting with minimal budget It was under $5,000 with what we have. So we shot it all on iPhones with anamorphic lenses. The only thing that wasn't was the opening scene with Vader and the Palpatine that was shot on a Blackmagic, but the hologram and me floating was shot on iPhone in post.
I also want to make a big apology to a friend of mine, Chris Calzia, because we had done a web series together and he wanted to shoot everything on iPhones. And I told him, no, we need to get a camera. We need to shoot this like legit style. And then I come to work on Shadow Mandalorian and Kiefer's like, oh, we're shooting everything on iPhone. I was like, what?
And then he saw the footage and he's
then
like,
I saw what we could actually do with it. And I was eating crow that day. I was like, I should have listened to it because yeah, so I want to make a public apology to Chris Calzia if you're watching or if you see this. I apologize to you. I know the error of my ways, and I'm eating crow right now.
Heard it here first.
Heard it here first.
So I don't know if many people would catch this, but your character's name is a play on your name, Kiefer, obviously.
Yeah. I'm not the best with names. But I use it in trials, and I'm like, well, I got to commit to it now. It's got to stick all the way through.
So just Kiefer Jenkins? Is that how
Yeah, I was like, just add a dash somewhere in there, cut the name down.
That's incredible. So what's next for Kiefer Jenkins and crew?
Well, we haven't announced it anywhere, so it's an exclusive for you. But we're on our 5th draft right now of another little short called Legacy of the Mandalorian. I think you'll have a little like image to show everybody, but yeah, we're writing that. We're gonna get it locked down. It's set somewhere shortly before Rogue One, so there's more of that Easter egg plugging in little things so that it lines up, but not. It doesn't absolutely need to be part of it. You know, it's so that the story flows and all that. And our hope with that is to push everything we've done with Shadow and take it to the next level, push our skill set, push our everything that we can do. And again, on a small budget. But yeah, we're excited. I'm excited for that. You know,
I told you guys this earlier. When you sent this to me, I told you that logo is badass. It's really great.
I like the idea of Trials is yellow, Shadow is blue, Legacy is going to be like Shadow is red, Legacy will be blue, like the sequel trilogy. But it's a very specific blue, and the blue is sort of again I'm half Guatemalan. This is very much similar to the Guatemalan flag. There'll be a lot of more of that elements of the juxtaposition of the two cultures.
That's awesome.
And learning to embrace them both.
That's great.
We were super stoked, and Kiefer was like trying to figure out a name for it because I think it was like a month or two after. I was like, "Are we gonna do a trilogy?" Like everyone's asking me if we're gonna do a third one, and he's like, "I don't know. We're gonna take a break." And then like I think a week after he said that, he was like, "Do you like Legend or do you like Legacy?" And I was like, "I like Legacy personally."
I always think like Legacy is more forward facing and Legend sounds more like, back facing to me. Like it happened, it's done.
Yeah.
So I commend you on that choice. You guys also have been accepted to some festivals recently, no?
So many.
We've gotten a lot of
out of nowhere.
And people have been still hitting us up
they want us to submit, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
congrats on that.
Shorts recently, IndieX, we got Best Original Score for our composer.
Yeah, Christy Carew.
Yep. And then we also got Best Visual Effects. Mr. Kiefer Jenkins won for Best Visual Effects.
Self-taught.
Yeah, right. And then Kiefer and I tag teamed on the editing. And so it was Best Editing, and we got 2nd place for Best Sci-Fi. Was it?
That's what it seemed like. We got an outstanding achievement, which we're the only ones for the sci-fi, so I'm assuming that's 2nd place. But hey, it's outstanding, right?
Hey, we'll take
I did want to add one more note for Legacy. It will be Tim directing that solely this time around.
Look at that.
Yeah, so I had one. We shared one, and he gets the last one.
That's incredible. What's the timeline for that? Obviously, COVID's impacting everything.
We're hoping to start production sometime late 2021 for release. Maybe we'll see release. Maybe 2021, maybe 2022. I don't know.
Whenever things get back to somewhat normal and we're allowed to do things again, right?
We're getting ready. This helmet behind me will be the helmet that Keith wears for that film when it's done. And so it still needs work. It's still getting there.
Just to clarify, not the Iron Man helmet next.
Not the Iron Man helmet. This helmet.
Very nice. Very nice. What's so I guess what's next for both of you outside of Mandalorian? Tim, I'll start with you. What do you got coming up?
Well, outside of Mandalorian, Kiefer and I are looking at a couple of different projects. One of them being a time cop project called Shifters. I'm writing that one currently, so it's kind of like he's handling Legacy, I'm handling Shifters. So we're just jumping back and forth between those two projects.
Not to cut you off, I remember you talking about that when we chatted months ago, and I was like, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's really, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I think a lot of directors are. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to get the script down, and time travel it's such like because it's such a nut to crack, because there's going to be, yeah, it's like you just got to bite the bullet and you got to understand what the story is about. And so that's what you got to kind of, all right, here we go. But I'm a big stickler on time travel movies, so this will be interesting for me to overcome.
You're pushing your skills forward.
Pushing my skills forward, exactly. So I think we got a pretty good draft going here. And again, we're just kind of waiting for COVID to release, but we're going to come out of the gate swinging as soon as this thing lifts and we're back into full production mode.
That's awesome. Is this a tandem moving forward then? It sounds like you guys are planning more projects together.
Yeah, I think so. As much as we can.
I couldn't imagine working with anybody right now other than Kiefer, because, yeah, it's just such a beautiful time collaborating with him. It's so much fun. So
that's great. That's very good. Hey, it's nice hearing about people working together and not like wanting to kill each other at the end of it. You know, like I feel like that happens a lot when you have competing visions and pride and all of that. So it's great to find that cohesion that produces something like Shadow of the Mandalorian, which is awesome. Kiefer, what's coming up for you?
Raising my son.
There we go. Congrats
working
on that.
Working on props and then trying to figure out how to learn new things so that I can make better things.
Someone's birthday.
Kiefer, is it your birthday?
No, it's not. It's my wife's sister, my sister-in-law's birthday.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Do you want to tell everyone what your son's name is?
My son's name is Anakin.
That's awesome.
My wife's name is Anna, so it's Anna's kin, but it's also because of Anakin Skywalker.
That's
true
very
Star Wars fan through and through.
I can say that he is part of the movie, but I might have to change his name for the movie because of it's not going to make sense for the plot.
People are going to be like, wait a second.
Wait a second. Yeah, it'll be something like that. It'll be something more Mandalorian-y or something.
Well, guys, listen, it was a great time watching it with you, and I think watching the reactions was great. Kiefer was so stoic the entire time, and Tim was like laughing every 2 minutes.
It's so funny. Kiefer just throws in those little nuggets that it slips past me during editing. It's just I watch it and I'm like, what?
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys being willing to watch it too. I've talked to other filmmakers when I said, do you want to join a watch along or whatnot? They're like, I don't want to see that film again. I'm like, So it's good. It's good to have you guys on, and definitely, looking forward to what's coming down the road. I think it is a good pairing with you two together. And that Time Cop movie, I'm like, let me know. 2023, 2024, whenever is that a feature length or is that going to be?
It's going to be longer than a short, because it's just a lot that we want to expand. And I think we want to be a little more freeing with this one. Usually we try to constrain ourselves, but usually we want to kind of let the story breathe this time. Just because it's such a heavy scientific topic that we're just going to be like, whatever comes out at the end, we're going to Christopher Nolan this. And if it ends up being 4 hours, it's going to be 4 hours. So.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hope not.
I don't know if I have enough storage for that.
If you guys get it going and like you're ready to go next time, if theaters have to shut down again, you can be the saviors of theaters, right? Like get it in there, be the Tenet that Christopher Nolan.
When we saw Tenet, the trailer for Tenet, we're like, so we're on the right track here, right?
We had some thoughts.
There you go.
Time travel.
All right, guys, I appreciate it so much. Thanks for joining, and take care, and congrats again on your firstborn.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. See you guys.